Hi there, I'm Yeardley Smith. I am so happy that you're here with me as I launch this new podcast called Guard the Yard. The inaugural episode aired a couple of weeks ago, and this past week I got to talk to Richie Palacios, who is with the Tampa Bay Rays, which is a baseball team. If you're like me, you might not have known that. So obviously the premise of the podcast is that I didn't grow up watching sports, and so I knew that the way in for me for sports was to learn about the people who play them. I'm less interested in their stats and more about what's in their heart and their mind. So Richie, I actually went to Phoenix, Arizona, where they do a lot of spring training, and Richie lives there in the off season and was at spring training for the Tampa Bay Rays and very, very kindly sat down with me. I mean, because this was before we launched the podcast, and this guy doesn't know. He doesn't know me from Adam. He might know Lisa Simpson, but he's like, why the fuck does Lisa Simpson want to talk to me? So I was so excited, and there were so many wonderful things about Richie's interview. First of all, the nicest, most genuinely cheerful, welcoming human being you could possibly meet. What you see is what you get with him. And yet, on the field, if you watched him on the field, because I did, of course, before I interviewed him, I did a lot of research, he's laser focused. He does not fuck around. He is there to win, and he intends to do so. So one of the things I learned about Richie before I sat down with him was that he loves fashion. I love fashion. And so I was really curious about what he was going to show up wearing. He showed up wearing, as you saw, if you've watched the episode, this gorgeous red leather bomber jacket. He always has a fantastic, fancy watch on. He also designs a lot of his own cleats that he wears on the baseball field. So Major League Baseball allows their players to take a few liberties, at least with their feet. So one of my favorite stories that I'd actually learned before I had the great pleasure to sit down with Richie was when he was a kid growing up in Brooklyn, he and his brother and all their friends would ever do this pickup game in the neighborhood. And I believe they had a Dominican coach, like an older guy who had played baseball in the Dominican. And this guy used to soak the baseballs the boys were playing with in water to weight them. They would play with this heavy ball for a good half hour, and then they would switch to an actual, a regular dry baseball. And the premise was that weighted baseball is so much heavier and you take so much more effort to hit and throw. By the time you get to the dry baseball, the fucking thing flies out of the park like nobody's business. Also, probably into a lot of living room windows in the neighborhood. Oops. Anyway, it is a great story, and here's a little clip of that. So there's this great story where you and your friends and your brother are playing baseball as kids, and you're playing in the neighborhood. But for reasons I want you to explain, I think you said you were playing with a softball and used to weight the softball.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming so it would go faster and further. But then, of course, that meant sometimes it went into windows.
Yeah.
And then you had to scatter.
Yeah.
And so my question is, why not just get a regular baseball? Or tell me the origin of that.
Yeah, it was actually, we had a trainer from the Dominican Republic when we were younger, and he would tell us that in DR, they would waterlog the softballs and then hit them. So, when you would get impact on it, you would truly, get power through it. So we do that for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then we hit baseballs after. And the first time we did it, we realized when we hit the balls, the baseball was going way further than we expected because we were actually truly staying through them and pushing through it. So we would do that in the neighborhood, and we're working out in fields that are in the middle of neighborhoods. There's houses all around. Then there's a little baseball field right there, and that's our spot to work out. So we'd go there, and sometimes we'd crash windows and cars and a lot of things. But
that seems like some poor city planning.
It was all worth it because we made it out. So
yes,
hopefully no one comes for us after this. They know why their car got messed up in 2005.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see.
Yeah, not at all.
And so soaking the softballs in water, I'm assuming, is sort of like running with ankle weights, right?
Exactly.
So you get stronger, and then when you take off the ankle weights, you run like the wind.
Yeah. And like when we were younger, I guess there wasn't as much of all this analytics they have now, or they have these weighted balls for this and that. Like we were just, in New York City making up ideas on our own from our friends, and if it made us feel good, we tried it. If it didn't, we threw it to the side. So that's where the waterlogged softballs come. They probably still do that in DR now, or they probably got weighted balls as well. So.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that. So as we're talking, and again, Richie was so gracious and willing to teach me about the game of baseball because, again, I come really with so little knowledge. And I couldn't have been more grateful. And then I was thinking, as he was talking about, he has a huge shoe collection and a huge cleat collection that he like rotates wearing on the field. And so I thought, I wonder if I could design a pair of cleats for Richie. And so I got this idea, and I'm sort of like a dog with a bone when this happens, and I couldn't let it go. And so I got in touch with Richie's guy, Anthony DeLucia, and said I want to do a pair of custom cleats for Richie. And the beauty of it was Anthony's made so many shoes for Richie. Of course, he knew what style, what size, the stuff that I could never guess about. So I designed these cleats for Richie Palacios, and it was a surprise. And of course, I wanted to incorporate Lisa Simpson. So on one side is Lisa Simpson flying like Supergirl, which I just feel like really embodies her spirit so beautifully. On the other side of the shoe is Lisa as the Lizard Queen. If you're a Simpsons fan, you know that iconic scene where Lisa comes out of the tunnel of our parody of Disney's It's a Small World and says, "I am the Lizard Queen!" And she's high as fuck. And she's like wearing an oversized t-shirt, or I don't know. She's not looking her best. So cute though. So we have that image on the other side of the shoes. And then I wanted to put all these special little Easter eggs that were specific to Richie based on the conversation that we had. So Richie has a nonprofit called Built Different, and it's for underprivileged communities. He teaches them baseball. It's one of the many ways he gives back. So on one shoe, it says, "I am, ellipses, ... And on the other shoe, it says, "Built Different," because Richie Palacios is certainly built different. Then on the back of one shoe, it has a number 1, which is his number on the Tampa Bay Rays. And on the heel of the other shoe is a cartoon of the soggy baseball to commemorate this fantastic ritual that he used to partake in when he was a kid. And then the last thing is on one of the shoes, it says, "Rent is due every day," which is a phrase that Richie told me when I sat down with him. It means you can't rest on your laurels. So I sent these shoes to Richie. He was already in Tampa Bay when he got them. He called me and I missed the call. And so he texted me and said that he loved the shoes, and I had included in the shoe box a note that outlined what all of the Easter eggs were, like why I had put them on his shoes. And he said it meant so much to him, it almost brought tears to his eyes. And so he just was lovely. And then I had the enormous pleasure of actually having dinner with him and a couple of friends when Tampa Bay came to Los Angeles to play the Dodgers. And he's just every bit the shining light that he was when I first sat down with him. I mean, this is a guy who you meet him, you're like, "Oh, dude, can I be friends with that guy?" Like, I can't say enough good things about him. And God, he's a hard worker, and he's having a great season, and I'm so pleased and proud of him. And anyway, if you haven't watched the interview yet, you definitely should catch this one, because it's fire, as the kids say.